the camera. You give it to me. Give it off. Give it off. Down.
Give it. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another disgusting, awful, excruciating episode of Worserer. I'm Alex Navarro.
I'm Matthew Rory.
Yes, you are. And what are we doing today, Matt Rory?
We are talking about Star Trek.
You love Star Trek.
I do enjoy Star Trek. I kind of enjoy it even when it's bad.
Yeah, but not these movies.
No, not these movies, unfortunately.
What's your movie? What's the worst Star Trek movie to you?
I think the worst Star Trek movie of the original series is Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock. Very, very bad.
I agree that movie sucks, but it is nowhere near as bad as Star Trek V, The Final Frontier. This one's a total shit show.
We're going to find out.
Indeed. We also have a very special guest today.
Awesome.
Mr. Matt Kessler.
Gentlemen,
how are you doing?
I am doing well. I want to see a dirty fight. There's no taboo. Nothing's off limits. I want to see you go for the jugular.
All right. Well, we will try to provide some spirited debate for you to judge accordingly, and you're gonna say I'm right. That's pretty much how we work this out, right?
If that is the outcome, you will be murdered.
There's nothing either of you have that I want.
Phenomenal.
Gentlemen, let's get this started. Mr. Rory, Star Trek 3.
Star Trek 3, I'm going to start off by talking a little bit about fan service. I think this movie really squandered a lot of the goodwill engendered by Wrath of Khan. Wrath of Khan, you didn't need to know anything about Star Trek. It was a really awesome movie, really good acting, really good action sequences and everything. Star Trek 3 throws it all out the window. It's all about Spock coming back from the dead. His death was the most dignified and amazing scenes in Star Trek history, but he's coming back to life now because he's on this stupid planet.
Just erase the whole thing.
Just dumb, and Klingons really stupid, and this movie is also the one that gave us the Klingon language, which is a pox upon us to this day.
Yeah, I'll grant you that one. However, here's the thing: Star Trek V is anti-service. It's anti-fan service, in the sense that like its attempts at comedy and sort of in-jokes within the realm of things, all things Star Trek, are miserable.
Yeah.
And we can't see a thing.
Stand back.
I don't know why Spock has rocket boots. For inexplicable portions of the film.
True.
I don't know why anyone thought it was a good idea to have Uhura do a desert sexy dance.
I've always wanted to play to a captive audience.
I gotta sit down.
Yeah, it was really bad. And all the sort of weird, ponderous God stuff in this movie.
Are we dreaming? If we are, then life is a dream.
Is this the voice of God? Why is God angry?
It's the stuff that Star Trek does the worst, always. And having Shatner direct that stuff...
You caught me on the way to the shower.
...makes it 10 times excruciating.
I've been nodding my head this whole time, but I totally disagree.
Very good. Let's move on.
All right, my turn. We're going to talk about special effects now.
Okay.
Because, let's face it, neither of these movies are any good at that.
No.
Makeup-wise, Star Trek V has some of the most miserable instances of alien makeup anywhere. The Klingons look super grody the whole way through. There's the weird three-tittied cat alien thing in the bar scene. The whole Star Wars Cantina bar scene ripoff thing in Star Trek V, that is a total mess.
And Kirk can throw her halfway across the room.
I'll knock you on your goddamn ass.
Plus the weird Romulan woman that just looks like some cast-off from,
they cover her
from
ears 'cause
Thailand.
they didn't know.
Yeah, whatever. It's all awful. And then, all the space battle stuff looks super cheesy. Especially when they get to the Great Barrier, which looks like a cloud of sort of dusty whatever in water. They go through the Great Barrier, they're on this planet, and it's just, hey, check it out, we're in the Utah desert, basically. And then giant godhead alien shows up at one point and gets... The whole thing where the Klingon ship shoots it in the face, that is the worst climax of any movie in that series,
And
straight
the
up.
deicide should have been really awesome.
Yeah, no.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and mention Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock, which had numerous instances of terrible effects. The explosion of the Enterprise is really cool, really gripping moment. Unfortunately, there are flames that clip through the surface of it, really obviously. The planet that they're on, the Genesis planet, is
the big rubber planet.
Made of styrofoam that has, cut together. And the end of it where where Cluj goes into the lava is, I mean, obviously you can't put it up against like the Revenge of the Sith, which has an awesome lava planet, but this movie is really bad in the effects department, which is really weird because 2 and 4 are both really good, really clean.
Very interesting. Let's move on.
So I want to talk about the fight sequences at the end of these movies too.
Yeah, they're both pretty awful.
They're both really bad. I mean, obviously nothing's going to live up to the From Hell's Heart, I stab at thee.
Yeah.
But Cruise and Kirk at the end of 3 is one of the worst fights to ever exist in Star Trek.
It's super awkward.
It is really, really bad. Cruise is supposed to be like this 6'10" Klingon guy who's choking Kirk out, but then Kirk is doing like backflips and gymnastics. And there's a really good part where they both fall off this little ledge, which is cut together so quickly that it looks like they get up and jump off for no reason, even though it's supposed to be like falling down. Poorly put together, poorly directed.
And there's the line. There's the William Shatner line at the end of it. Just that line.
I have had enough of you!
Yes.
Oh my God. Terrible, terrible stuff.
Yeah, so here's the thing about that. At the very least, with that villain and that fight, you still got Christopher Lloyd hamming it up something fierce.
Genesis! I want it!
The crazy religious zealot Vulcan Cybok in Star Trek V sucks. Like they just throw him in as like this sort of the Vulcan brother of Spock. They had like he doesn't do anything other than like
Share your pain. I couldn't help but notice your pain. Release this pain. Release it. I hide no pain. I don't want my pain taken away. I need my pain.
just
Take your pain away.
He takes people's pain away.
I like the actor though.
The actor's fine, but like he doesn't really have that much to do other than take people's pain away, take it away. And then when they get to the God Planet and they're talking to the giant head dude, and then like he sort of disappears for a while, and like he's chasing Kirk around the planet with like horrible lighting. And then there's just like the Klingon ship pops up, and then it shoots him in the face, and then okay, I guess that's all. That's it. That's
the transporters don't work, and somehow Spock gets onto the Klingon ship and is the captain of that ship for no reason whatsoever.
No explanation.
All right.
None.
Okay.
None. That is so much stupider than anything that goes on in the Search for Spock. That is the worst climax of any movie.
They are so bad.
Series.
So bad.
Period.
All right.
Ooh, I wish you gentlemen would take my pain away. Let's try moving on to the next topic.
I want to talk a little bit about some of the acting and the dialogue in these movies, because as directed by William Shatner,
You caught me on the way to the shower.
actors do not act so much as they kind of gesticulate and brood and kind of they're just kind of there. They're just kind of wooden cutouts of people. There's this whole like 20-minute scene in Star Trek V where the Cybok is like talking to McCoy and like trying to get him to take away his pain, and then Spock as well. And it just the pacing of it and the acting and just everything that goes on in that scene is
Ponderous.
like it's so perfect. It's such a perfect example of like how not to direct an emotional scene.
I almost fell asleep in the middle of part of this movie.
Unbearable.
Yeah.
And then there's all the stuff in the space bar and the crazy space planet where like the Romulan and the Klingon and the human guys are like, all those people are terrible. It's just it's literally one of the worst casts of any Star Trek movie, and the acting involved as directed by Shatner
You caught me on the way to the shower.
is a total mess.
I'm not going to disagree. I will say that Christopher Lloyd, I love him, love the guy, but he's
such a ham.
He's just over the top so much in Star Trek 3. There's a moment especially where he kills his lover because she has seen the Genesis data.
Yeah.
And he just kind of says, "Oh, unfortunate." And he looks at the screen for like just staring at the screen, and it's so funny.
Yeah.
It's so over the top, but he
loves that rubber dog.
The rubber dog is a really good, bad special effect.
Yeah.
And just all the main cast, it seems to be. Shatner's always Shatner, but when he says stuff like, hey, is there going to be a party when we get back to Space Dock? And he's like,
This time we've paid for the party with our dearest blood.
all these lines
like these-
are kind of written up. I have left the noblest part of myself on that Genesis planet. It's
God. Oh,
over
God.
the top and overly reverential and too Star Trek-y for Star Trek its own good.
It's completely. It's miserable. It's miserable.
It's bad. So there are a couple little things that we want to talk about, especially the Star Wars Cantina rip-off scenes in both of these movies, which they both have for some reason. Star Trek 3 has a spaceport bar scene, which is really weird. The two things I really hate about it are the little airplane fight sequence, which is like, I don't know if they thought it should be like that's futuristic. And then there's also
video games look like
the weird hooker bartender waitress who has like it's sci-fi makeup on and she's really perky, but she looks.
And
like
then there's also this sort of Greedo guy that like comes up and starts talking to him.
Hey, it's Star Wars all of a sudden.
Yeah, okay, that's bad.
Yeah.
The one on the neutral zone planet where like all these people like are sort of trapped. Is 10 times worse. There's a pool table that has water in it for no fucking reason whatsoever. And then again, three-titted cat lady dancing on the bar.
Who gets thrown into the pool table and then dies.
Yeah, she dies because it's water. Because there's water in cat. Water in cat can't do it.
It's amazing.
I'm gonna say mine's worse. 100 times. You should talk about what is the most just straight up awful, melodramatic, broken moment in these movies.
Right.
I have two, actually, for mine, sadly. One is just, as far as melodrama is concerned, the scene where McCoy is having his pain taken away, and he is like going through all these dramatic motions, where he's like guilty about having to kill his father because he's sick and he wants his pain taken away. Is DeForest Kelley, God love him dearly. Not so good when he has to like. Emote, like real sadness and real, like he's good at being cantankerous. Tough. That's really all he knows how to do. Also, the scene with the god head dude and Shatner walking up, it's like, excuse me, I have a question.
Excuse me, I'd just like to ask a question. What does God need with a starship?
What does God need with a starship?
And they repeat it like 5 or 6 times.
Worst line of dialogue ever. Ever.
Has
a
special place in my heart for being so bad.
It's so bad.
What does God need with a starship?
All right, well, so in terms of melodrama, there are actually some good beats in 3. I like the destruction of the Enterprise, and I kind of like the death of Kirk's son.
Well, I like it because I never liked that actor. And I always hated that character, and I was kind of happy to see him die.
So that moment is good, but then Kirk's reaction to that moment is like he falls down, he can't find his chair.
You
killed my son.
You Klingon bastard. Yeah. You killed my son.
And then there's also Spock's face popping, or skeleton popping out of his face.
Oh, yeah, that's like
awful special effects, and also insanely unnecessary. The whole Spock thing is.
It's just they should have left him dead. I don't know,
or clone him or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's bad.
All right, gentlemen. This is it. Last reel. Give me your final words on this nonsense.
All right. I'm going to start this. I'm going to say it right now. Star Trek V, there is no worse Star Trek movie. And I'm even counting the Next Generation stuff. Like, as bad as some of that stuff is, it is everything that Star Trek does not do well.
Sure.
It is cheesy comedy. It is religious ponderousness.
Sure.
And it is Shatner trying to do something other than just kind of be William Shatner. He does not direct well.
Way to the shower.
No one in the movie seems to have a clue what's going on. The special effects are terrible. And just, again, Uhura dancing all sexy. Why? Why? Why would you let that happen?
I'll be in my bunk.
Gross. Gross.
So unfortunately, I still think that 3 is the worst of the Star Trek movies. I think it killed off a lot of the goodwill from 2. I think 2 really had what should have been a jumping off point to make this series massively popular. It was already popular among Trekkies, but it could have been so much bigger. And 3 was such a stupid fan service exercise in stupidity and Klingons. And again, they invented the Klingon language for this film, and that is why we now have guys dressed up as Klingons at conventions.
Kafla!
That's the one Klingon word I know. Terrible all around. And they did blow up the original Enterprise, which is still kind of a blow.
Yeah, but, I don't know. I didn't think it was that bad when they did that. And I'm sorry. No, it's just like, as bad as Star Trek 3 is, Star Trek 5 is just so much more aggressively awful, I think.
Hey, you see? See?
All right, Mr. Kessler, so how did we do?
Give me 1 second to factor in the final calculations. Car blah equals car sucks. Why is God a space shit? All right, the numbers are crunched. Mr. Rory, you made some excellent points about blowing up starships and bringing back Spocks. And of course, we know which movie to blame for all of the Klingon nonsense. But I'll tell you, after Star Trek V, I know what I want with a spaceship, and that's to get the hell out of this franchise. So, Mr. Navarro, I hand it to you. Star Trek V is the worserest of Star Trek movies.
I had to watch both those movies, so I still lose. But all right, finally, after the Lethal Weapon debacle, yeah, you don't even really care, do you?
I'm not even that upset. I think they both these movies suck.
Yeah.
I'm glad we at least acknowledge that they both do truly
They
suck.
are completely awful.
So we're gonna give a big ups to Matt Kessler. Thanks, but no thanks. I'm gonna kill you later on for making me lose. But thank you anyways for coming on, and enjoy the rest of your short life.
Indeed. Thanks to all of you for watching another episode of Worserer. We will certainly be back soon enough with more
Something
things
worse.
that completely suck. Feel free to hit up the comments with your own suggestions for more terrible movies that we should pit against one another, and also what your thoughts on these two god-awful movies, and whether you think we're right or wrong. Until next time, I'm Alex Navarro.
I'm Matthew Roy.
And we'll see you later. All right, Mr. Kessler, so how did we do?
All right, let me punch in. Someone called me.